Hey, O Kids, it's Pastor Cozy. I hope you've had a great month learning about God's story and how it connects to your life right now. But before we get to our story videos for today, I want you to know and remind you that even though the worship isn't on this video, we still have so many worship videos for you to use to worship God with Miss Carrie. Through singing to God, you can connect with Him. By singing about who He is and who He says you are, we can connect with God. And so you can find a ton of worship videos on the O Kids worship playlist. All right, I hope you enjoy this next part of God's story, and I'll see you after for the activity.
I am known and loved by God. Jesus is my friend. I'm a unique part of God's story. My true identity is in Christ, and I'm fully alive in the Spirit.
Zonda Kids presents the Jesus Storybook Bible. Every story whispers His name. Written by Sally Lloyd-Jones and read by David Suchet. A little servant girl and the proud general. Naaman was a very important man in a very important army of a very important country. So you see, he was very, very, very important. But Naaman was sick. He had leprosy, which is a nasty thing that stops you from feeling anything. Bits of you fall off without you noticing, like bashed fingers and squished toes. It might sound funny, but it wasn't. And Naaman certainly wasn't laughing. There was no cure. It never went away. And in the end, it killed you. Naaman needed help. Now, there was a little slave girl who worked for Naaman, and she knew someone who could help him. But there was a problem. Naaman was her enemy. Not long before, Naaman had led an army raid on her home in Israel. He had killed her whole family, carried her off to Syria, and made her into his slave. Every night she cried herself to sleep. She had lost everything. Why would she, of all people, want to help Naaman? Didn't she hate him and want to hurt him back? Didn't she want to make him pay for the wrong he'd done? That's what you would expect. But instead of hating him, she loved him. Instead of hurting him back, she forgave him. "I want Naaman to get well," she said to her mistress. "There's a man in Israel called Elisha who can heal him." "I'll go," said Naaman, loading up his wagons and putting on his flashing armor. "But I'll go to the palace because that's where someone important like me gets healed." So he hurried off to Israel and went straight to the king. "My healing, please," he announced. "Well, I can do lots of things," the king replied, "but only God can heal." Just then a message from Elisha arrived. "Send Naaman here," it read. So Naaman hurried off to Elisha's house. But Elisha didn't even come out and greet him. He just sent a servant instead. "Doesn't Elisha realize who I am?" Naaman thought. But what the servant said next made him even crosser. "Wash in there," he said. "Just wash?" Naaman laughed. "In that slimy, stinky river?" He looked around to see if this was some kind of joke. It wasn't. Any person can wash in a river, he thought. I am Naaman. I am important. I should do something important so God will heal me. And he rode off in a rage. Of course, you and I both know that's not how God does things. All Naaman needed was nothing. It was the one thing Naaman didn't have. God knew that Naaman was even sicker on the inside than he was on the outside. That Naaman was proud. He thought he didn't need God. His heart didn't work properly. It couldn't feel anything. You see, Naaman had leprosy of his heart. God was not only going to heal Naaman's skin, he was going to heal his pride. Naaman finally agreed to wash in the river, and instantly his skin became smooth like a baby. Naaman wanted to pay Elisha. God healed you. You can't pay, Elisha said. It's free. And so it was that a very sick man was healed, all because of a little servant girl who forgave him. God knew sin was like leprosy. It stopped his children's hearts from working properly, and in the end it would kill them. Years later, God was going to send another servant to forgive as she did, to forgive all of God's children and heal the terrible sickness in their hearts. Their hearts were broken, but God can mend broken hearts.
In today's story, we learned about Naaman and how God forgave and healed him. This story points to the later part of God. In today's story, we heard about Naaman and how Naaman was healed and forgiven by God. And this story points to Jesus because it reminds us that Jesus is going to come and heal us and forgive us later in the story. In today's story, we heard about Naaman and how God forgave and healed Naaman. This story reminds us that Jesus came to heal and forgive us too. So in today's activity, we are going to remember this story with a fun little activity. So this is an activity that you need your parents for. So you're going to give them this paper, and you are going to hold on to this paper. And your parents are going to read part of the story, and then they're going to pause. And then you are going to choose which word or image fills in the pause or the blank. So for example, we can do the first one together. The first one is, Naaman thought he was very, what did Naaman feel he was? Let's see. Was he a rescuer? No. Was he God? Did he think he was God? No. Do you think he was a servant? No. I don't think he thought he was a palace. What about, that man looks very important. Naaman thought he was very important. So the right answer is this one, important. So you are going to continue this with your parents. The next one is, Naaman was very, what was Naaman? I hope you have fun figuring it out with your parents. All right, it's time for the raffle. Winner of this week's raffle is Lana Howard. All right, Lana, tell your mom and dad that you won the raffle and have them reach out to me via text or my email at cozy@oceanhills.org and have them tell me Lana saw the video and that she won the raffle, and I will send you your prize. All right, you guys, I'll see you next week and have a great Thanksgiving. Bye.